Hello, first grade. Today we are going to be working on Chapter 8, Lesson 6. So I need you to make sure that you have your pencil ready to go and that you are turned to page 595. That's 595. If you need some time to turn to that page, remember you don't need to rip it out, you don't need to put your name on it, just turn there. Then you can pause the video and unpause it when you're ready to move on. All right, so yesterday we learned about telling time to the hour on an analog clock. And that's that clock that's round and it has all the numbers around it and has the two different hands, the hour hand and the minute hand. Well, today we're going to work on telling time to the hour again, but we're going to use a different type of clock, and it's called a digital clock. And this is probably the kind of clock that you see more often around in your world. You might see it on your parents' cell phone or on your school iPad. You might see it on your oven or microwave or even on your TV. So we're going to learn how to tell time to the hour. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about how to tell time to 7 o'clock. So when we were looking at our analog clock, we would see that the hour hand was pointing to the 7 and the minute hand was pointing up to the 12. Remember, that's how we know to say o'clock. Well, in a digital clock, it's much simpler. This first section over here on a digital clock is for the hour. And the second section behind these two little dots is for the minutes. Now you'll notice that it doesn't say the words o'clock over here. It has two zeros. That means the same thing as o'clock. So if I want to tell the time 7 o'clock, all I need to do is write a number 7 where my hour goes. Now my clock says 7 o'clock. Make your clock look like mine, please. All right, let's turn our page over. All right, so up here at the top, it says another type of clock is a digital clock. A digital clock uses numbers to show the hours and minutes. So this digital clock over here shows 2 o'clock. So on this first side, it shows the hour. The hour is 2, so trace that 2. And then the minutes, remember when we say o'clock, that also means 2 zeros, 0, 0. So go ahead and write 0, 0 onto your minute side. Now let's come down here and try it for number 1. Number 1, where is our hour hand pointing? Remember, we always have to look at that hour hand first, the smaller hand. It's pointing right to the 11, so our hour is 11. Write that on your hour side. Then our minutes, well, that minute hand is pointing up to 12. That means o'clock, so I'm going to draw 2 zeros. $11. Next, coming over here to number 2, where's my hour hand or my smaller hand pointing? It's pointing to the 6, so that's my hour, 6 o'clock, because it's pointing up to the 12 for my minute hand, so I'm going to write 2 zeros again. And that's how I write 6 o'clock on my digital clock. I want you to move down here and do numbers 3 and 4 by yourself. I'll give you some time, and then we're going to go over them. All right, let's see. Now this one for number 3, my hour hand is actually pointing straight up to the 12. It's overlapping with that minute hand. So it is 12 o'clock. So I'm going to write my 12 on my hour side. And then I still write my 2 zeros for o'clock. Over here at number 4, I see my hour hand, my shorter hand is pointing to the 3. So it is 3 o'clock. So I'm going to write my 3 on my hour side and then my 2 zeros. So yours should look like mine now. We're going to turn to our problem-solving page. Number 11 says Rachel goes to the cafeteria to eat at 11 o'clock. She is there for 1 hour. What time does she leave the cafeteria? Well, you can see I already underlined my important numbers. I underlined 11 o'clock, so please underline that too. And I underlined 1 hour. So if she goes at 11 o'clock, what is 1 hour after 11? Well, first grade, it's the same thing that we do for an addition problem. We would take 11 plus one more. What's 11 plus one more? 11 plus one more is 12. So she leaves at 12 o'clock. So we're going to write that down here on our line first. And then we're going to come up here and write that time on our digital clock. So 12 o'clock, I look at my hour first. I write 12 over here on the hour side. And then for o'clock, I write my 2 zeros. All right. For number 12, it says Mrs. Webb's class came in from recess at 2 o'clock. They were at recess for an hour. What time did they go out to recess? Then it says explain to a friend how you know. Well, we're just going to work through it together. So I underlined my important numbers already. I underlined 2 o'clock, so please underline that. That's our important time. And then it says they were at recess for an hour. Now, when you see this word N, A-N, before a word, it means the same thing as one. So they were outside for 1 hour. They came back in from recess at 2. So we need to subtract an hour to figure out what time they went outside to recess. So what is 2 take away 1? 2 take away 1 is 1. So they came back, or they went outside at 1 o'clock. Now we're going to write it on our digital clock. My hour goes on the side, 1, and then my 2 zeros for o'clock. And there it is. All right. Turn back to your independent practice. You're going to be doing the exact same thing on your own for your independent practice today. Once you're finished, then you're all done with math, and I will see you for math class tomorrow.